Hey guys, I'm Guillermo Gonzalez. I currently live in Fort Worth, Texas, but I was born in San Juan, Puerto Rico. I just finished second at the Bassmaster Kayak Series National Championship. Super stoked, and already ready for the next one.
All right, Guillermo. How did you get into fishing, especially being from Puerto Rico, right?
So actually, I went fishing for the first time when I was a little boy. I got invited to a fishing birthday party in the Florida Keys. And they put us up in this cheap little hotel, and they had a little fishing dock. And we went, and we had just little punch rods and whatnot, and some frozen squid. And I had never fished before, but as soon as they put that rod in my hand, I didn't put it down. All the other kids got bored and went swimming, and one of the chaperone moms had to stay with me because I didn't want to leave the dock. I had to catch my first fish on that trip, and ended up being the only little boy that caught a fish on that trip.
That is awesome. So, how did you continue fishing throughout your career, early stages and stuff? How did you keep fishing?
So I actually started fishing competitively in college. I fished for TCU in college fishing, and believe it or not, I got my butt whooped. And it was really from there that I had a desire to become a better tournament angler. And being in college, a boat was out of the question, but a kayak wasn't. And so I got a good kayak. I got myself a good kayak, a very seaworthy kayak that could get me out and help me become a better angler. And I made it a point to learn everything that I felt uncomfortable with. If something made me uncomfortable, I went out and tried to learn it and turn it into something I felt very comfortable with. And it wasn't very long after that the piece of the puzzle started clicking, and I started winning a few tournaments here and there, and it all went downhill from there.
So that's interesting. A lot of guys lean into their strengths. I'm super comfortable fishing shallow crankbaits and spinnerbaits, whereas if you were uncomfortable with that, you would go and you would actually try and fish that.
Yep.
So what that just came naturally, or was that instilled to you through family, or how was that?
The bottom line was, the best way I know how to put it is I remember being at the weigh-ins, and I'm not saying we didn't do terrible every time. We had some good ones, but I remember being at the weigh-ins and hearing all the million different ways that people caught them. And there was a lot of ways that people caught them that I just honestly wasn't that as familiar with as I would have liked to be and experience. I mean, I grew up in South Florida for the most part, so I grew up doing more saltwater fishing than anything. So a lot of these techniques that a lot of people, made work really well, I hadn't quite made work yet. I also honestly wasn't that developed of a bass angler, and my desire to develop as a bass angler, specifically as a competitor, to me, made me feel like I need to get better at all this stuff I don't know anything about. And so I really committed to that, and the rest was history.
Awesome. All right, I see your Nucanoe hat. I'm a Nucanoe owner as well. How'd you get hooked up with Nucanoe and all that good stories?
So I've always been a fan of paddle kayaks, and I've always been a fan of open platforms. I really like to stand. I really like to move around. And I actually remember when the Nucanoe Pursuit came out, and I was like, man, that's a really cool boat. But anyways, fast forward a couple years later, I get in a situation where I decide to go on, I didn't want to be signed with any particular kayak company. I wanted to try everything. And so I did. I fished out of every kayak imaginable. In fact, I fished tournaments out of a lot of different kayak brands. And I kept going back. I tried the Pursuit. I had the good fortune of knowing Blake, and Blake had one that I was able to try and use, and I kept going back to it. I loved it so much, especially, with the way their EPS system works, and you mount a Newport in the back. I mean, that boat is an absolute bullet. I felt like the fastest guy on the water, and it was a good feeling. And then, recently this year, I decided it's time. This is a boat that I'm at home in, and it's time to make a home with this company, and that's what I did, and I couldn't be happier.
Awesome. So are you still floating in the Pursuit?
Yep, still floating in the Pursuit. I have an unlimited. I love fishing out of it. I actually use it a lot for hunting. But as far as like my tournament rig, to me, nothing outperforms a Pursuit, so I'm going to go with the Pursuit.
Awesome. I have an unlimited, I have Frontier 12 and an unlimited, and that unlimited is just like levels above the Frontier 12 in my opinion.
To me, the unlimited is one of the most comfortable fishing kayaks in existence.
Yes.
I mean, I honestly, you know, as a tournament guy, of course, I love the Pursuit. But you know, if somebody went up to me and said, you know, what's a good kayak? I'm getting into kayak fishing. What's a good kayak for me to get into that's easy to fish out of, and that I can load down? You know, I would 100% recommend the Unlimited. It is really the perfect boat. It's perfect first kayak. It's an amazing setup for that kind of angler. But like I said, I love being the fastest guy on the water, and so it's hard for me not to go with the Pursuit.
Yeah, because that unlimited is a barge.
It's not slow. It's not slow. It's not slow, but it's not as fast as the Pursuit.
Yes.
And if you got a need for speed like me, it's you got to have it.
I feel you. So you use it for hunting. What kind of hunting do you do?
Oh man, I whitetail, turkey, waterfowl. I use it for all three.
Awesome. Yeah, I did a little bit of duck hunting out of my Frontier 12. I've got the blind set up and the outboard motor on it, like
That's
shallow
awesome.
water stuff. And I'm still waiting to put a deer in the front. We've got a hunting property that's just a quarter-mile down the road, and it's hard for me to actually like justify going a little further and putting it in and going to public land and hunting. But one
Right.
of these days, I'm going to put a
It's
whitetail
the
in it.
public, you know, the public land chase, and I'll be very honest. I haven't killed my first public land whitetail yet, but I know I'm going to, and I know I'm going to have that boat with me, and I know it's going to be the greatest feeling ever.
Oh, it's awesome. My very first deer was off of public land. My dad took me, and yeah, it's amazing.
And
At
I'm trying to do it with a bow. So
Oh, that's even that's even harder.
yeah.
That's awesome. Christine's not here, so we can talk a little bit of smack here.
Okay.
How do you guys get along? Because you're both fierce competitors and you both want to win. And I always notice that you guys tend to fish like opposite sides of the lake. Is that like intentional? That way you guys aren't fishing on top of each other? Or is like, what's your approach to being a couple and an extremely good fishing couple, but still competitors at the end of the day?
I'll tell you what, it's one of the most amazing things I could ever ask for, and it's one of the most aggravating things I could ever ask for. We both want to win. We both have a lot of respect for each other, and we both want to beat each other because of the respect that we have for each other. With that being said, you know, we do share information. And you know, when she kind of like starts picking up on something, you know, she'll tell me, or when I start picking up on something, I'll tell her. As far as fishing in opposite sides of the lake, I think we definitely never want to get in each other's way. Now, I don't think that's why that is, but and you know, sometimes we fish closer together too. In fact, in this last Bassmaster Kayak Championship, we got to, on the second day I saw her twice, which is not typical, but so like it can be difficult because, you know, like I said, we both want to win so bad, and we both want to be successful. But it's also such a blessing to get to share in the ups and the downs and everything that, you know, you experience out there fishing competitively. And I wouldn't have it any other way.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Guillermo. I
Yep.
appreciate it. I'm a big fan, big supporter of you
Thank
and
you.
Christine. My daughter loves watching Christine's videos, and
Yeah.
my wife loves it, so
That's
we're
awesome.
always pulling for you two and all your stuff. So thank you for taking the time.
Thank you, man. Found it.
All right, in second place, winner of that tiebreaker with 178.25 inches for the weekend, catching some phenomenal bass on Lake Tenkiller from Texas, taking home $9,000, Guillermo Gonzalez. I got your voicemail the other day, so I tried my best to pronounce like you do. I hope you did a good job. So Guillermo knows, everybody knows our next two anglers that are coming up. Guillermo Gonzalez is arguably one of the best soft-spoken, best spokesmen in the entire fishing industry from top to bottom. We appreciate everything that you do. You you work within the industry with bait development, rod development, everything that you do, you pour your heart and soul into, just like our next angler. And we appreciate that, and it shows, and your humility that you exhibit is a testament to all of us here, and like me personally, try to do that myself. So we thank you for everything that you did this weekend. Mark Cisneros did a great job highlighting you all on the Bassmaster site. So I just want to let you talk about what it took to get you on stage, and then give your thanks and gratitude to everybody.
Man, so I'll talk about what it took to get here first. When I heard that the championship was going to be in Oklahoma, I love fishing in Oklahoma, and you know that's a testament to the great fisheries here. Coming from Texas, Oklahoma is one of the most underrated places to bass fish in the country, without a doubt. There's so many great fisheries. But I had one opportunity to qualify, and I took that opportunity, and I made it here, and I was so happy. And now here we are up on stage. It's such an honor. But as far as Tenkiller, man, Tenkiller was such a cool lake. And what made it cool, one of the things that made it cool was not just, of course, going out and catching largemouth and smallmouth and spots, but you know, we showed up to the tournament, and I thought I was going to be able to go. I thought I was going to fish super pre-spawn. I was going to be able to go down the bank with red crankbait and spinnerbait and just absolutely wear them out. But that really wasn't the case. It kind of fished like a fall fishery. And as you all know, fall fishing can be tough, but it can also be incredible. And Tenkiller represented what is best and what I love about fishing in the fall. And even though we're in spring, of course. And man, I had an absolute blast. I was throwing a 6-inch swim bait the whole tournament, fishing around groups of fish that were congregated around bait. And the reason I threw that big swim bait was because I wanted to make sure I caught the biggest fish in that group. You could throw a smaller swim bait and catch fish all day long whenever you got around that bait, but that big one, I didn't get very many bites, but when I did get bit, it was the right one.
Guillermo, we appreciate everything you do. You got anybody you want to thank before we bring up our champion?
Of course, I got to start off by thanking Jesus Christ Most High for just giving us the opportunity and giving me the opportunity to be a part of this absolutely incredible community. The fishing community is unlike any other community I've ever been a part of, and I feel so incredibly blessed. Of course, I got to thank my family, my mom, dad, my sister. They sent me so many texts and just encouraged me. My friends, Christine, she's the most encouraging person in the world, and I'm so lucky to have her. Rumor has it we might do some team boat tournaments pretty soon, and I can't wait to do that. Y'all better watch out, we're gonna put a whooping on y'all. But anyways, and of course everybody that reached out to me. This was it was such a cool experience. I'm so blessed. Of course, all my sponsors and people like you, Steve, who give us these opportunities to fish at these amazing events and stand before all of you.
Guillermo, thank you very much, man. Appreciate you so much. We say